Hello, everyone. Sorry for the delay again. We're also streaming live on Twitch now, so that's exciting. Hopefully, recordings will be there when this is over, and so you can all see our lovely faces and the content. I'm Max. I set up Twitch. I guess everyone else here can introduce themselves as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Sherry. I'm an engineer at APTOS. I run the devnet.
David, software engineer.
Hi, I'm Tokun. I work on performance, consensus, etc. stuff.
I'm Sheetal. I'm mostly focusing on the storage side.
I'm Greg. I'm software dev, but you guys see me as the admin too much of Discord.
And that is Avery,
Hi, everyone.
our fearless CTO.
Hey everyone.
Cool. So this time the format was a little different. There was a thread where people could ask questions. We will be getting to those in a moment. First, I want to call out and say a big thank you to Magnum 6, who has released a new tutorial for writing Move. It's fantastic. A bunch of us learned more, I think, than we maybe care to admit. It was very well written. It's funny. I highly recommend you guys take a look at it. And I believe tomorrow, either we already retweeted it or we'll be retweeting it tomorrow just to kind of get more exposure on a really awesome set of tutorials. Thank you to Wayne for providing a very in-depth kind of review of Move. And thank you to all of those building tools and everything else. There's a fantastic set of guides for how to run nodes in many different languages. There is a really cool tool for validating that your node is actually running correctly and is syncing, which is really neat. Someone's been working on Explorer, and in future weeks we'll definitely be highlighting a few more of these. Do you have anything to add?
That's pretty much it. Someone mentioned that the audio is really bad from my microphone, so we'll have to move the compute. People have to move close to the computer because we can't move the computer to talk.
Cool. Okay, I will try to figure that out a little bit. But yeah, would you like to go into talk about a little bit about what's coming in the new release and?
We can talk a little bit about we did the first release actually to the devnet last week. I know it's a little bit rough for many of you. This is the first time you try to upgrade your nodes. Hopefully next time we will do better on the documentation on how to do upgrades so that people will have a better experience. We released a new operational tool called just APTOS, the CLI. We also recognize we right now have multiple different operational tools, which is very confusing. So going forward, we'll be unifying everything under the same CLI so that in the future, there's only one command you need to remember, not multiple things for one differently for generate keys and one differently for managing different stuff. Yeah, stay tuned. I think there's more updates coming. We also recognize right now it's very hard for nodes to advertise your address and advertise you're a stable node. Going forward, we will be building a new tool to allow all the full node register your address on chain, so that in the future you don't have to manually posting it in the Discord channel. You can just automatically register your address on chain, and people will be able to find your address and connecting you also automatically, not have to handle those manual seed things. We know the things are still a little rough and the experience is not as smooth as we wanted. We will keep improving it, and thank you all for contributing, running nodes, give us feedback. So yeah, more documentations, more toolings, and better user experiences coming for our future release. Yes.
Sweet. Thank you, Sherry. I believe we wanted to have Magnum come up if he's here to talk a little bit about his tutorials, of his experience building with Move. So let me pull him in. There are a lot of people in the audience. I have 70 viewers on Discord too, or on Twitch. Hey, Magnum, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'll give a few quick thoughts, and I'll keep it succinct as possible. But I thought it might be helpful to share why I jumped into this as deep as I did, and the startup that I'm a part of. You know, when we saw the news release on the investment into Aptos, I guess it's been 2 weeks ago now, that was a big signal, because if you've been involved in any of the other chains, you know, the tribal warfare between the L1s and then the L2s on who's the better chain can almost reach kind of religious type fervency and people defending their favorite chain. So for a new entrant to kind of show up with huge backing was a pretty strong signal. And so it caught our attention, and we wanted to take a look at what was so unique about Aptos that made all of these top tier, literally tier 1 VCs back this seemingly late entrant to the L1 wars. And so kind of the purpose of the tutorial I've been building was not necessarily to be just a good person. It's a way to jump into the pool and learn, and kind of putting it out there, saying I'm going to do this, provides a little bit of social accountability to make sure I dig in. And so that's what we've been doing. And really what we've found, and I'll tell you right now, we are switching our development from another chain, and I don't do chain bashing, so we won't talk about it by name, but we're moving everything we're doing to the Aptos chain. And it really comes down to a decision around kind of DevOps economics. And so I won't get too academic, but you know, when we think about DevOps as a startup, a lot of attention often goes to kind of the build, test, deploy cycle. But there's a really significant component of the cost of DevOps in the coding piece. And in our experience, what would take us, 2-3 days to do on another chain, we could literally do and move and on the Aptos chain in a couple hours. And so there's such an incredible competition for development talent right now that if I can have one dev on Aptos equal 10 devs on another chain, that's a huge return for us on investment into development talent. And I think the other thing that's significant for us looking at Move specifically is this is really kind of the next generation, the evolution of crypto development to take care of some of the problems around safety. And if you're really old school, and I'm probably older than everybody on this call, and started developing back in the days of C language, and you had some malloc and free resources and deal with all these memory management issues. When Java and C++ came along to take care of all that memory management and cleanup, it was like magic for us that were developing way back then. And we really see the safety parameters and the checks in the compiler and Move kind of taking blockchain development to that next layer, to where all of that stuff that we have to worry about on other chains is kind of abstracted away by the compiler. And so things are really easy to do. It's hard to mess it up because the compiler's not going to allow that. So for us, when you start talking about the next billion users in crypto, that's going to take the next 100,000 developers to be able to build those applications. And so I really see a much easier path for just kind of the typical JavaScript developer, Python developer to move into blockchain on the Move and Aptos platform. And so for me as a startup founder, looking how do I recruit the best talent? Well, I don't want to compete with other blockchain companies that are hiring Solidity and Rust programmers for other chains. I want to go after the best talent, development talent, and then get them up to speed on the crypto piece, and we can do that in Move. So that's really kind of the motivation for us in what we found. And so whether you're a startup founder or if you're just a developer looking to create the most value for yourself in the market, as much as the L1 and L2 tribal warfare goes on, the next billion users and the next 100,000 companies that move into crypto, they really don't care. When you look at what the Apple iPod, what Google, what Facebook all had in common, is they weren't the first technology to market, but they were the easiest technology to use, and they dominated. And we think that's kind of position that Aptos and Move is in. So that's my 2 cents, and happy to answer questions.
Thank you. Wow, that is quite an endorsement. I'm really glad. I think all of us are really, really happy to hear this. This is, a lot of these people have been working on Move, on the previous project before APTOS for 3+ years. And it's really amazing to hear that, people actually not only find utility in the work, but it does seem like the work was in the right direction all along. And I'm really glad that you are having a good time with it too. Yeah, I guess in terms of questions, I don't know if anyone here has anything for him. One of the things that I'd be really curious to know is, in terms of tutorials or anything like that, early on, what kind of applications or something would have made it a little easier for you to onboard?
I think having a quick tutorial on setting up development environment would be helpful. I think we've pieced a lot of that together. I think having a kind of a standard template project and explaining the pieces of that would be helpful getting going. And then just having all the different resources consolidated into one place would help as well. But I think there's some folks that have actually done some of that. There's I'm sorry I forget the name. Somebody's building an awesome APTOS repo and starting to consolidate this. So I think just making sure the entry point for new developers has pointers to all those tools will be super helpful.
Cool. Yeah, that is definitely something that is on our to-do list. Awesome. And you've been building out the SDK and TypeScript. This week, I will also be working on the Python and TypeScript JavaScript SDKs. Is there anything in the SDK that you think is currently missing that really would have helped you as well?
Yeah. No, where's the SDK?
That's a good point. That's fair. Yeah.
I am unaware.
Well, let me rephrase the question. We've got the sample tutorials. We've got the first transaction, the first move module, and that's kind of like our vision for building the SDKs, like taking those and adding a lot more functionality there. I think Max's question was specifically using those as templates. What more would you like to see inside an SDK beyond just what we've naively thrown in there? Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Obviously, putting into a module that we can install, I would assume that's on the agenda. Some additional things that a couple of us have been working on, persisting accounts to local file storage. There's another that was on the Discord today of generating a key pair from a mnemonic phrase, that kind of stuff. And then just a basic command line tool to create accounts and fund accounts out of Faucet into a target either local or devnet would be good.
Any questions? Any questions for us in terms of Move or anything else?
From me?
Yes.
Yeah, I posted one question on the thread about an overview of key rotation and kind of the purpose of the auth key and the account. So I'd love to hear that if you guys have time to cover that today. And I think the last thing I would say before I shut up and let other people talk is to put in context, I am not actually a developer. That's not my day job. I can code, I can kind of figure it out, but I'm not like some super high speed blockchain developer. And I think that's a pretty decent metric for anyone that's looking at this and saying, can I figure this out? And, without being a professional coder for probably 20 years, I was able to jump right in and pick right up. So
you could have fooled me. Well, that's amazing. Do you want to answer this question? Yeah, into key rotation.
So I assume there's not much more to the question. Otherwise, feel free to interrupt me. So the gist of it is, and we've got this in the documentation. I'm going to ruin it in the live audience, but I'll try my best. So the documentation roughly describes that there is an address and there's an authentication key. When we're generating a new account, we take a public key, we hash it to obtain the address, but that address is also represented in the authentication key. So you can kind of think of it as a three-phase process where public key gets hashed. Now you have your authentication token, or key rather. That then is also represented as the address. Now, and that's at the beginning of time. Over time, you may say, hey, I've used the same public key for a long time. I would like to refresh it. I'd like to make sure I keep my credentials new, just in case, somehow my private key gets lost or abused, manipulated. I have the ability to go in and change the authentication key at any point in time. And that would effectively swap out my current public-private key pair with a new public-private key pair while still retaining the same address that I've been running my account on since the beginning of time. Which is a really new concept in blockchains, especially if you're coming from Ethereum, where your public key is your identity on the blockchain. And I think the one thing I'm really excited about that we're working on, and I think we'll probably have this out in the next DevNet, is we've had this kind of janky situation where we had 16-byte addresses that when you went through the create account process, we actually required you to give us both your public key and I think the address that you're claiming. And it was a very inelegant API. We're moving towards 32-byte addresses, which enable us to avoid an attack vector that we were concerned about at the 16-byte address, and allow people just to provide their authentication keys, and we'll create the accounts for them. And so it's going to improve the ergonomics a lot for the account creation process. So effectively, what we can imagine in smart contracts is if you don't already have an account that exists and we want to actually transfer you a token or some other sort of resource that can be automatically stored on your account, we can do that without having you to go and create the account first. You just would have to have your public key established, and you can exchange that outside of the APTOS network.
So where does the authentication key persist then? Because right now it's just created off of hashing that public key. If I swap out a new key pair, where does that authentication key live?
So the way I would interpret the authentication key is it's basically could be perceived as a compression on your off-chain key material. And so in the model that most people are familiar with, your public-private key pair is all that you have. And so the public key and the authentication key is a one-way function to get to the authentication key. So you can always regenerate it, assuming you have the public key. The thing that's really cool about having this authentication key is you can have a lot of different types of ways of providing authentication, such as multi-signer. So we actually can represent 20, 30 different public-private key pairs in a single 32-byte element. We can also imagine moving and supporting other types of signature algorithms, such as ED or ECDSA, or what's the other? BLF. BLS, yeah. And so we don't actually have to hard code any of this into the blockchain itself. We can all deal with this at the mempool and client layer.
Okay, I'm gonna have to marinate on that for a while.
Basically, you can get your authentication key by taking your public key. And so you always have that at your disposal. And the other thing to call out here is the actual process for when you submit a transaction to the APTOS blockchain. What is the validation on a given transaction? And so the way it's kind of set up is in your transaction, you sign the transaction, but you also put the public key into the transaction so that we can then compute, one, that the public key or the key material in the transaction matches the authentication key on chain. And then we verify that the message is properly signed with that the paired up private key to that public key.
Okay.
Which is, I think, really distinct from the way other blockchains basically just say, is this message properly signed with the public key, with the private key associated with the address that's on chain.
Okay.
And so
well, I'm going to figure out.
That requires marination.
Okay, I'm going to act like I understand all this now, so everybody think I'm cool, and then I'll figure it out.
Appreciate it. And I'll follow up with your question with a direct link to the documentation.
Thank you.
Sweet. Any other questions for Magnum? No? Cool. Well, thank you very much. It was great to have you. Again, the official APTOS Twitter account has either retweeted or will very soon. His tutorials, I highly recommend you guys take a look at them. They are absolutely fantastic. They are funny. They are extremely informative, and it's a great way to get started with building Move on the APTOS chain. Thank you very much. So next up, we have a long list of questions.
We also have 4 people with their hands raised.
We also have 4 people with their hand
Should we do
raised.
that first?
Let's go through the written questions first, I think. Maybe some of those hand raised questions might be answered. Cool. So, we have a lot of
Yeah,
questions.
there's a lot. Let's start with Captain Simula.
Yeah, so I guess I can throw a few disclaimers out here first. The plan in general is incentivized testnet is coming in Q2, and then in Q3 we are planning our mainnet launch. We will have tokenomics coming out before then. We will have the incentivized testnets, information about where we'll be listing and whatnot. All of that will be coming out, and we will definitely answer any very technical questions you have, though. Now, just throwing it out there because we'll be skipping over some of those questions. Thank you on the congratulations, though. The Binance announcement was definitely very cool. Ambassador program. That is something we are actively working on. I think we might have, at least some pieces of it maybe by the end of the week. We have made offers and are hiring a community manager who will definitely be able to assist us in that. We are all technical. We are all engineers who have somehow found our way to and somehow ended up managing a Discord of 25,000 people, which is absolutely amazing to see the response. Yeah, Ambassador program is coming. We definitely want to connect with you all who have been doing such great work, who've been helping other people, who've been writing these tutorials, like you just heard from Magnum. Additionally, we also are working on promoting some of you guys to moderators. We are aware of who's been there, who's been extremely helpful in the channels. Please do not DM us with moderator requests to request to become a moderator. Acting in the interest of the community in the public chats is really the best way, I think, to get noticed. And we have noticed, and we will be taking action there.
We'll come up with some criteria.
Yeah.
Soon.
Yes.
I think we'll figure it out.
Yeah. There will be official criteria as well. Let's see, the testnets. Incentivized testnet is coming in Q2. When tokenomics? Soon. Key rotation.
We just
Yes,
talked
we just
about
talked about that. Yes. How exactly is Binance going to help APTOS grow?
I can take that one real quickly. So I hope you can hear me. This is Avery. You can check our Twitter feed, APTOS Labs today. We announced, or Binance announced their strategic investment into APTOS. It's a pretty novel thing, I think, where all one chains work together to build a better Web3 world. And we're just looking for different ways of partnering to just enable more customers to come to Web3 going forward. But the more details of that will have to come in the coming weeks and months. Thanks.
Thank you, Avery. When incentivized testnet? Q2. Why do you need a rank in the channel? People just write one-word message to increase their rank.
I think we're gonna get rid of it.
Yeah, I think we're going to get rid of it.
It's getting I think people are being a little antsy about it, and
Yeah.
It will help decentivize people from just spamming channels.
Yes. It means nothing. There's no reward for writing hi a million times. In fact, that's a great way to get silenced or kicked. So please don't spam. Great question and great call out. DevNet, why, how, and why is it needed? People are wondering if they need to set up several nodes, and will this affect getting to the future testnet? The plan for APTOS eventually is to be proof of stake, delegated proof of stake. So running many nodes on the same machine, not necessarily a benefit. We definitely want to see how we can maybe incentivize people to distribute the stake, to distribute geographic locations of nodes, really for the health of the overall network in the future. But right now, there is no incentive for running DevNet other than to learn and to understand what node operation is like, which is a really good practical preparation for incentivized testnet coming in Q2. It really is just to become familiar with it. So if you do want to be a validator node runner, this is good training.
It also provides us information so
Yes.
we can actually iterate, improve the DevNet in general.
Yeah, that is a fantastic call out. We have learned a lot from people running the literally thousands of nodes that all of you have set up and are running. It's been really helpful for us. So we very much appreciate all of you doing it as well.
Yeah, and definitely on the developer side, like with Wayne's tutorials and everyone else in the community trying out Move, it's really helping us to actually improve the developer experience and make it easier to onboard those applications.
Let's see, when will the section of tokenomics? Soon. Who is Aptos for and who can use it?
Everyone.
Yeah.
Layer one for everyone, yes.
Yeah, the layer one for everyone.
Yes.
It's very catchy. I think, more than from ourselves, I think Magnum's experience is very much what we want the experience in general to be, where, people who are less experienced with blockchains and some of the ways that I think it's really easy to accidentally shoot yourself in the foot with Solidity and cause security issues, a lot of those problems really go away with Move, where the language itself in the system doesn't let you make those mistakes, and it's just a lower risk onboarding in general. So really, everyone. Will the desired computer hardware be increased as time progresses? Yes, I think this is fair. So of course, we have, I think on average, between 2 and 5 TPS in this devnet right now. That's, obviously not very much going on. As we increase towards, some of the limits that we've written about in papers and things like that, of course, the hardware will increase alongside with it. I don't think it'll ever be insane, but I think it's reasonable to assume that with higher TPS, there will be some increases of hardware required.
Yeah, but just to be clear, our goal is really decentralization of the network, and that we recognize that means more people will be able to run validators at the full nodes in the future. And we're making a lot of design choices to actually enable that going forward. Some examples might be for instance, the way we do state synchronization is a way to do very lightweight replays of transaction execution without having to re-execute the transaction yourself with CPU, just as an example. And we're going to take those measures throughout the network to try to make sure the requirements are as low as possible for the best throughput as well as low latency.
For those calling out bad audio, I see that little lower down. I'm sorry. I will buy a standalone mic or 2 or 3. We will have open broadcast set up. We'll have a more professional. We're slowly, week by week, it's becoming more and more professional Twitch streaming setup. What are the advantages of using the Move language compared to Solidity? I think Magnum touched on a lot of them. Do you feel like there's anything necessarily else to add there?
I think one of the things that I really like about Move is the notion of ownership. And so the resources that I actually own, the things that I own on a blockchain are actually stored in the account that I control. And so I don't have to worry about some other entity being able to go in and just say, David's account is no longer viable. The NFTs, the storage, the coins, whatever I'm using my account for, can't be manipulated unless if it's explicitly specified within the contract. And the contracts aren't too challenging to read. So it's pretty easy to kind of quickly go through there and say, oh, there's no moving from unless if I explicitly enable so. And I really like the simplicity in that space. And so that's the big upsell from my perspective.
Consent as code.
Yes.
Yeah. No receiving random NFTs and wondering why that's in your account.
Yeah, I think just, spending quite a bit of time looking at the NFT space, there's always a concern that if I have a wallet and people know my wallet, they can spam me with questionable content. I think there's quite a few examples out there of people actually getting undesirable content associated with their accounts. And that's because you don't actually move the resources to the user's accounts, and so there's no consent, there's no acceptance of them. They just kind of land and you're now attached there, and you don't know why all of a sudden you're owning random Britney Spears NFTs. Whereas in the Move/APTOS model, we're very much focused on you should only have resources that you've accepted to have.
Yeah. How are you, team? How's it going? Good?
Yep.
Thumbs up for those on Discord.
Yeah.
What will the Aptos blockchain be focused on? What role will the P2E segment take in it? The team has amazing experience, worked in Meta, is also mentioned. Will there be any joint integration with Meta?
We can't comment any partnerships with Meta this time. It is worthwhile to note that we obviously, a lot of us came from Meta, and we are very much friends with many of the people who work at Meta. Hopefully, we'll have more to discuss in the coming months regarding that.
And in terms of focus, I think we are fairly focused on any and all applications. We are a fast, safe, general purpose blockchain. And if you have any applications, or if you're interested in working with us or partnering more closely with some of our developers for, like Magna mentioned, like anything that you or your company are building with, we would absolutely love to hear from you. See, what is the ultimate goal of APTOS? To take over the moon.
Unlimited cheese.
Unlimited cheese, yeah. No, I think, we've kind of expressed that. The ultimate goal really is just to be a safe, secure, fast, high uptime, stable blockchain for
Everyone.
everyone.
Yeah. We want, just going back to our history a little bit, when we started building this project, it was to really onboard, the 4 billion plus monthly active people who come to Facebook at that time. We think that, Web3 is really for everyone, and we want to make sure it gets adopted by everyone so they can see the benefits themselves.
Ambassador program. It is coming. Tokenomics. Soon. Incentivized testnet. Will everyone be able to take part, or will there be a selection? I think details on incentivized testnet will also be coming.
Our goal is to have as wide participation as possible in incentivized testnet. Next details will be coming.
Specifying which month. Q2. Not yet, but we will definitely, as soon as we have something nailed down, we will obviously share it with you.
I promise it won't be March.
Yes. Yes, it will not be the next one. Let's see. How to apply to mod role. Please don't. Please don't DM us. We may have a application process potentially in the future, like a channel or something. Once our community manager is hired, he will be able, or she will be able to better guide that whole process. But we are definitely the wrong ones in general to be DMing with investment opportunities or moderation requests or anything like that. If there's something very, very bad, please put it in the scams channel and you can tag one of us. Or if you are an engineer or have a company that's working or interested in working on APTOS, you can also, ping us similarly in the dev discussion channel, and one of us potentially reach out to you. Any activities for community in the near future? We are working on that actively. Things are coming, I can say. Channel. Is this the channel to react for this session? I think that's fair. I think that this is a good place to react.
I answered that one.
Oh, you did? Okay, sorry. I need to read faster. Okay. How long will incentivized testnet? I think the goal is to have as many in serial, one after another, maybe parallel, who knows? That we need to really get to a confident place where all of us know that everything is working as expected. No one is finding interesting new ways to break some of the non-technical pieces of it. And so I guess as many as we need before midnight. What is APTOS most confident about? What is your attraction? I think we've touched on that a little bit.
I can say something. So I think the thing we're probably most confident about is just, I think there are two things that are kind of interesting that we like to think about. One is obviously our team. And I think, a lot of us coming together, working together for years, it's not a whole lot different than it was working at our previous employer. We all kind of know our roles, we know what we're good at, and we're looking to expand the talent, with more people from the community. Another thing that I think is really cool is the way we've integrated research and engineering together in a seamless experience here. And this is nothing, it's always been a challenge in many research labs to get research into engineering. There's no real secrets here other than to say that there's no egos, and the right people, putting the right people in place, making sure everyone's involved early, allows us to really move that very quickly from ideation to research engineering to production. Also, we have I think in contrast to some of the projects, we put a very heavy focus on production engineering reliability. From day one, we hired a very great staff of folks to work in that area who are very versed in scaling systems to well beyond blockchain scale from our previous employer. And the final thing I'll just say is really about our ability to adapt. We know that this is a very fast-moving world in Web3. Last year, NFTs blew up. DAOs are taking off today. We don't know the next use cases, what's going to be in the future, but we do know that this technology can adapt, can adjust, and we've done it in the past within our kind of private mainnets that we've developed this technology into. And so we're pretty confident that we'll be able to provide a great experience no matter what happens in Web3 going forward.
Cool. Mission and vision for the near future. I think we've covered that in various forms a couple of times. Any new partnerships in the future? I think we are always interested in new partnerships. If you have some ideas, you can always send it to info@aptoslabs.com. Otherwise, I think we will be announcing our partnerships as they come.
Yep. Keep an eye out on our Twitter account, and if you look at the ADN page, you can see the great list of partners we have building with us inside of devnet today.
Will there be a limit on number of participants? We hope not. We'll see. If 100,000 people want to run validators, that may be a lot for a first incentivized testnet, but we'll see. The goal, obviously, as Avery said, is to allow as many people as possible to participate. How does Rest compare to Move? What are some things to watch out for compared to Solidity? How long do you think it'll take for Google and Move? We'll show the programming language as the first result on Google. I think that's one of the downsides of Move, to be honest, is that it's very SEO unfriendly. There are a lot of results for the word Move. I've been talking a lot. I don't know, I think we've covered a little bit about the way that it compares. Are there any... I'm sorry, I do want to throw in real quick. We are working towards having a couple of series of, Move for Solidity devs, Move for Cadence devs, to really kind of answer exactly those questions that you're having. But I don't know if anyone has anything specific for now.
No, let's wait for those guides to come online, and hopefully that will be a good way to kickstart these conversations at that point.
And I will see what we can do for SEO. ADN. So that's fun, I guess. ADN is changing a bit. So originally, the idea of ADN was it was a way for us to engage with highly technical developers, people who are actively trying to use Move on the blockchain. After that, it quickly expanded to also people who are running nodes, and then expanded to anyone who can spam a fake link account. And even then, so ADN is changing a little bit. I think we will be moving to a couple of self-selection roles. You can react with an emoji, and you'll be able to get labeled as a developer or a node runner or a couple of other things. And then in the future, we are actively looking to bring back ADN in kind of a different form, more specifically to help focus the developer community interactions with ourselves. There is no reward for any of this. There is no, getting into ADN doesn't give you tokens or anything special. All of this really is just around us knowing really who we can best send, for survey questions and things like that to help guide some project direction, understand what languages people are building on, things like that.
And we'll be renaming the ADN role, right?
Yes, and we will be renaming the current ADN role to something.
Early adopter or something.
Yes. Yeah. Let's see. How can we help the project besides installing nodes? For example, translating or writing articles. Those are both, I think, fantastic. There are some really, really great, very well done translations. Greg took Russian, I think, in high school. Greg can read Russian. I came from Russia when I was like 6, so I can read Russian. I still, to my grandmother, I still speak Russian every Sunday, and that's about as far as I go. So it's been a really great technical education in Russian. But we've seen some really great translations. really try move, I think would be a great thing. Finding where it's difficult to onboard, reading through tutorials. If you ever end up confused, all these things are really fantastic things to surface to us so that we can learn from your difficulties and make it a little easier for the next person coming through.
So just to jump onto that one a little bit, if you go to our current aptos.dev, you'll notice it's honestly very modest. It's not a lot of content there. We would love to have community source tutorials, guides, improvements to our own tutorials and guides. Max is talking about building SDKs, but this is also a huge opportunity for the community to jump in and pick your favorite programming language. And maybe we can actually work together to identify what the standards are to have community supported SDKs that APTOS supports and actually presents on our website. But there's a lot of opportunities out there. Feel free to just propose something that you're excited about, interested in contributing upstream, and more likely than not, we'd be excited to work with you.
Also, to add on that, I wanted to remind everyone, we are an open source project. Our GitHub repo is an open source project. So if you're a developer and wanted to actually contribute in developing the core stacks, we're absolutely welcoming everybody to look through our repos, look at our issues, and see if there's any feature you wanted to implement with us or help us fix bugs or anything. There's many, many ways for you to actually participate.
Yeah, please do. Let's see. How much investment do we get from Binance Labs recently? I think it's private information.
That is correct.
That is correct.
Good answer.
What about the smart contracts in APTOS? How are they different from those on Ethereum? They're written in Move. I highly recommend taking a look at aptos.dev. There are 2 simple tutorials, and hopefully with your contributions, there will be more. When will devnet stop being reset weekly?
When we're starting to keep backwards compatibility, that means that when we finish all the major feature development, right now we're still expecting to release many, many more breaking changes on storage, consensus, or networkings, many different components. We're very fast iterating right now, but we will reach a stage where we feel like this is all the major features we wanted to complete for incentivized testnet. We will let the community know whenever that time is. Stay tuned.
With that being said, you're always capable of running your own independent local testnet. I do recognize, and good call out by Magnum, that we did not give instructions on how to run a faucet with that. So we'll be updating the documentation shortly to reflect that, so that you can actually have longer development phases without having to go through resets.
Are there any plans to run the blockchain carbon neutral / negative? I think this is something that we are aware of.
I mean, look, we're definitely going to be, as Max said, a delegated proof-of-stake system, so we're pretty low energy to begin with, but we're always looking at ways to benefit the environment, and we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah. Will you upload the record? Hopefully, Twitch is recording right now. If not, last time someone in the audience recorded it, which was amazing. Hopefully, they're recording it again if Twitch doesn't work out. Will test coins be burned? Yes. So the current developer network that's out there right now is just for playing around with Move, for us, for learning how to run nodes, and for us to understand how things work really at scale with global distribution, like we're experiencing now. Everything is going to be wiped weekly already on Thursday mornings Pacific. If you have a clever name for what that day should be called, I am super open to it. I could not find anything that really worked well with Thursday.
He lost lots of hours of sleep, so please help him out.
Yes.
Throwback Thursday.
Throwback. It's a throw forward.
Right.
So yeah, this is been on my mind. So yeah, nothing has value in our current devnet. In fact, you can make a request to a faucet, and it'll make you a billionaire in test coin if you'd like. Yeah.
Don't spend it all in one place.
Yeah, don't spend it all in one place. hard cap for the token sale. Details about our any liquidity and mainnet launch and all of that will be coming before Q3.
The next comment's awesome.
That's big, guys. Great master of ceremonies. Oh, thank you. That's cute. Thanks. Don't worry, I'm recording. Thank you again, Honwoo. Major props. Hopefully it works. But if it doesn't, he's got it back. It depends. That's a great question. I hope you don't get fired, but if you do, we are, there are aptoslabs.com/careers, I think. There's a link to it from our main page. We have a wide variety of roles open across technical, partnerships, marketing, really everything. We are hiring a lot. So if these are skills that you have and you are interested in working with a great team, I think, from my perspective, in a really good environment, please apply.
So I think we should move on. We have 4 hands raised.
Yes.
And then we can come back if there's any messages on Twitch, because people are saying on Twitch to go to the Discord.
Yes. Let's see.
You have to go to the event.
The setup is, sorry. Sub-ideal.
I can help you invite people to speak.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Okay, so we have, boom.
Solarius?
Oh, do you want to do the inviting?
It says invite sent. So
Yeah, I'm inviting.
Hello, Solarius.
Hello, guys, again. One mentioned about the awesome APTOS list, and I just wanted to stop by and remind that there are, in fact, multiple different awesome lists, all starting from awesome Libra and then awesome DM, and now awesome Move, maintained by Mr. Labs. So probably they could at least use some of the content when they are building their awesome APTOS. And then I have an actual question, or I had. My question was, is the time now fixed for this event? Because I want to schedule it on my phone, but then I saw a message that it will flex a bit. Apparently, you are trying out different times, matching people's time zones and so on. So yeah, that was my question.
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is, I think, a fairly fixed time here at 11 Pacific on Mondays. We do want in the future to maybe have our evening time just to make it easier for people in other time zones to attend. But I think those generally would be in addition to, instead of replacing the Move Mondays at 11.
Thank you very much. And see you next week then.
Yeah, see you, Solarius.
Thank you.
Next up we have Almutasem. Sorry, the resolution on our TV is very numbered. Almutasem Al-Haj. I think you're on mute.
Okay. Hello.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Sorry, my name is difficult, so yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry for.
Yeah. I want to ask. I created Twitter and the Medium Arabic channel for the project, and I translate all the posts. It's like difficult when translate all posts from English to Arabic. It's like impossible, because Medium don't support Arabic. But I work before and I have professional work with this, and I translate, and it's okay. I do this Medium canal for Arabic. It's okay or not okay, because I don't want to break the rules, and I must ask the team.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. We definitely appreciate you asking. As long as you say that like this is not a official APTOS medium or anything like that, we absolutely love anyone translating to whatever other languages. I think it's a great way to help spread the words to people who are not native English speakers.
Yeah, because many Arabic people, don't understand English, and I want only help, and
Yeah.
make only medium translate to Arabic, and Twitter as like post all new Twitter in Arabic language.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you very
yeah.
much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Next, we have PSF. Thank you to whoever.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, great for bringing me up. I'm speaking on behalf of 3 or 4 people here in the audience. You guys caught our attention because it was apparent to us that it appears to us that it's very easy to use the APTOS layer 1, and therefore we are very interested. Today I saw it was a very technical talk, but our approach would be to inform more the German-speaking community, which are like 100 million people, basically, or potentially. And the question I actually have is: are there any guidelines to how to maintain a German-speaking Telegram group to inform the people? Because we thought this might be the best medium to participate with the audience with in the crypto space. So.
Yeah.
Are there any guidelines, basically, what you don't want to spread or what you don't, what you want to have put out there? That's the question.
That's a really great question. We don't currently, but we should. We've kind of been looking for this community manager position that we're hiring to really drive out a lot of that. But we definitely have it on the list now. That is now something that we will definitely do and it is coming. I think that's a very fantastic call out.
Yeah, I might have something to add to this community manager position because I can imagine you guys are flooded with DMs.
Yes.
And I would not even try to write you a DM, but I do think it would be very important for you guys to put out channels where people can address certain issues they have, because then it's trickling up to where it needs to be addressed to.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's like let's say just Max and everybody's writing to you. That's not so efficient, I'd say, but
Yes.
might be wrong.
So maybe more channels that are more specific.
Yeah.
It's a hard granularity to come up with.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Maybe just starting with an issues channel or something. Maybe. Yeah.
So will there be something issued like on how do you want to have it? Because of course it's all of unofficial channels, of course. But
there will be, but I think that shouldn't necessarily stop you from creating one now. I know that there's a Chinese one. I know that there's Russian. There's probably a bunch of other unofficial ones. There's potentially going to be an Arabic one now soon too. Yeah.
Because I'd say it depends on your interest, but it could be also in the interest to have at a certain stage to have an official channel in bigger speaking audiences or like language audiences, I'd say, but it depends.
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, we want to be the layer 1 for everyone, and we very much. I mean, a lot of us. I wasn't born in this country. A lot of us also weren't born in this country. We understand that there are many people outside that aren't native English speakers, and we definitely want to be able to enable them as much as we can to work and move, to contribute to our projects, to participate. So translations, Telegram channels. I believe we have a German language channel here as well. Really, all of these really do help. So we, whatever we can. Brand guidelines and all those things will be coming. Again, probably not this week. Probably not as soon as you'd like them, but they will be in the future. But I don't think that should necessarily stop you from creating this channel. We always want to bring as many people on board as we can.
Also, I would add anything right now from our official Twitter account, our official company website, anything coming from our official verified account. It's the link. Feel free to share. That's a verified official information, the tutorial we put out there. So that would be very safe to spread right now.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
And one last thing, actually, if you do want to contribute, regardless of what language anyone here speaks, our documentation is written in Docusaurus, and we do welcome translation contributions. It has that support, and so potentially there is a fun world where it's translated into many, many languages.
Yeah, I'm looking into that. Hopefully, it's not too technical for me, but yeah, I'm more on the people's side. But yeah, I'm looking into that.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Klim.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
For the best practice, a lot of big projects have a roadmap. I think a lot of people would like to see roadmap on your site. Main question, what bonuses will the node holders get? Thank you.
So roadmap is coming?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely working through our roadmap. Like we have the rough roadmap in place, right? Q2 is going to be incentivized testnet, Q3 mainnet launch, obviously. It's harder to, I mean, we have a bunch of things that we want to do. We're trying to go through our prioritization right now where we want to put those things. And until we have anything concrete, like at least putting them in slot in the quarters for next year, next year, we probably don't want to commit too much right now at this time. But we'll get as much as we can out there and in terms of our rough directions, I think you can go to our Medium post, which kind of describe the challenges we want to tackle, not necessarily the order in which we're going to tackle them. And then the final question about the incentives, I think we've talked about. Tokenomics definitely will be coming soon, before mainnet launch.
The other thing I want to add is that we actually do use GitHub issues to track a lot of the directions that we're taking, especially more on the tactical front. So if you want to see things that are going to be coming out soon or thereabouts, feel free to jump into there. We are trying to start building some projects around there just to give a cohesive vision of where we are going in the short term. But if you want to jump on, read the issues, give feedback, would love to have a community contribution to make sure we're actually building things that make sense for the users and not just what we perceive to be.
Yep, and then just to build on top of what David and Sherry have already said, like, we welcome contributions to GitHub. We would love it if you actually file issues regarding the things you'd like to see there, whether it's new features or some improvements or things you care about from a user community. So definitely feel free to use that as another way to get our attention and also get the attention of others in the community to build on top of the network.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a familiar face. Jobar, or Hobar, I'm sorry.
Hello guys, can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Hello, it's nice to see you guys. I don't have any question about project and something like this. I wanna just ask you, how are you guys? How are your team?
We're busy.
Yes.
Things are really crazy.
How it is going?
It's beyond our imaginations and expectations. So we're a little bit overwhelmed, but also super excited. We're working really, really hard and trying to give people what they want. But yeah, please be patient with us. We're still a very small team. I know lots of the things are still a little rough and the experience not as perfect as we want it to be. So thank you all for being here, supporting us and helping us testing this stuff. We love it.
We do our best. And I hope next time we'll have APTOS logo on your wall.
Yes.
Yes, we definitely need some decorations around our office. So please send us your ideas or meme.
I think it will be look nice.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Afim.
Hi guys, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, I have a few questions. At the moment, my favorite project is Cosmos. Do you consider adding like something like IBC to the network in future?
We have definitely talked. We've talked to some other folks. I don't know if you know the Pontum team, who actually kind of did some work with Cosmos, I believe, or sorry, this Polkadot, but other bridges basically with other networks, and it's something we're actively investigating. We'd like to continue to look into those directions. We just don't have anything concrete at this time to share. But if other people want to start building bridges, that would be fantastic. Don't wait for us to get started on that.
Yeah, because I think that's quite important, because I think this Cosmos is like a very strong project. What is your favorite project, by the way, was before the move was created?
Oh,
That's a fun question.
that's a good question.
I like Solana, I'll be honest. I've liked Solana for a while. I think it solves a lot of the interesting problems that had occurred before it. Of course there are some problems with it that I don't necessarily think I should get into. But Solana was cool.
Okay, I get it. And the second question. The second question, I'm a complete beginner. Like I'm in crypto since 2017, and in devs I'm like less than a week. Today I started my first, like not first node, second, maybe third. Could you like more experienced guys to give me an advice, like 3 steps to from the beginning to move learning, like which is the fastest way, on your opinion?
Honestly, I think one of the best ways is the tutorials that Magnum 6 has. They start kind of early on. They explain some of the things of the language that our docs definitely don't. And they guide you through a really fantastic project that is, again, better than our documentation currently. Yeah.
There's also the new book was also pretty useful. And then I think the key thing is if you have a problem that you want to go solve, try. Share your progress, and we'd probably be more than happy to provide some guidance to help you get the ball rolling.
Okay, I try to make my question like more exact. For example, on my opinion, the first step is learning the command line. The second step, I don't know, and the third step is learning move. So, what do you think the second step is?
What was the first step? Sorry.
The first step is learning command line, like
So
working with terminal.
So the way we kind of envisioned it, very naively, and it's still under massive development, is we first want you to be comfortable with interacting with APTOS. So that's being able to submit transactions, jump into the Explorer, make sure that you can say, oh, there's my transaction in the Explorer. I now know how to do the handful of user-based script functions that are provided via Move, via APTOS. Once you have that under your belt, then you're ready to start exploring how do I actually do something beyond these trivial things, which is making your own Move module. And that's why we provided the Hello World sample to kind of just proof of concept. We'll have more proof of concepts coming out thereafter, but it's being able to write the code, deploy it onto the blockchain, and interacting with it. And I know that's like, wait, that's like 10 steps right there. But right now it's where we've kind of got it broken down. It's step 1 is get that familiarity, whether that's getting familiar with the CLI, deploying your own testnet, or talking to our network. And then the second one is actually going in and having fun with Move.
Great, thank you for your answer, and I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah.
We're at time, but do we want to keep going? We still have 2 more questions. How's people's time?
Let's cap it off at these last 2 ones.
Yeah, last 2.
Okay, last two.
Captain Simka, hello.
Yeah, hey guys. Thank you very much for invitation. Thank you for your doing. I have a little question. I have been with the Telegram chat as well for a little bit, and some of people ask me directly. The incentivized testnet will be done with the KIS system. Is it right?
Sorry, it cut out a little bit. The incentivized testnet will be done.
Will be done with KUS system, KYS. Know your customer.
Oh, KYC.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
We're still working through those details.
I think we're still working through those details.
Okay, and the second question, if it will be done with KYC, so any political thoughts will be used for this? So, for example, I know some projects which ban people from CIS, and for me it's very important because I have a lot of friends keep going for a project, and they asking me as well because I'm most involved in the Telegram discussion with the community.
These are great questions. I think these are questions that we don't have, or answers we don't have now. I mean, obviously a lot of this is regulated by law that is very outside of our hands that we do need to comply with no matter what. But as we get closer to the incentivized testnet is really when we'll be able to have some more of the answers around the requirements for registering, whether KYC is a requirement or not. Yeah, I think a lot of these are just purely legal questions that
We need to consult our lawyer.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our goal really is the widest, distribution of people running the nodes and across the world. But yeah, we will comply with all laws, and we'll have to just consult with the legal team before we give any specifics.
So make love, not war.
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for the question.
Next up we have Andre.
Hey, hello.
Hi.
Hey.
What is your question?
Hey, I have a quick question. For the mainnet, the requirements for the node, what will be? Will it increase or decreasing?
We don't have all the details right now. I think it's probably going to be a little higher than what we have right now, since the requirement right now we put on the website is really low, with like 4 cores and 8 gigabytes of memory. It's probably going to be a little higher, but not crazy number, because we do wanted to have as many people as it's possible to run the nodes on mainnet to make sure our network is decentralized, is no single point of failure, is diverse. So we wanted to make the bar low enough so people can enter without too much effort. But there's going to be some requirement. Details will come soon as we're more closer to that stage.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for the question.
Okay.
I think that's it. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. We are 10 minutes late to a meeting that actually concerns some of the questions that you guys have had. Yeah, we will be doing this again at the same time next week. I look forward to seeing you there. I look forward to seeing you hopefully in our GitHub, open some issues, open some PRs. Have a great week, everyone.
See you.
Bye.